Hello friends, if you want to score good marks in the political science paper, then you have to quote the famous scholars and their statements while writing your answers. In this video, I am going to take the topic of political theory, meaning and approaches, and discuss the famous scholars and statements related to this topic. Let us start with the definition of the term political theory. According to Sheldon Wallin, political theory is the systematic knowledge of a political phenomena. Consider the political phenomena of, say, fascism. Now, what political theory does is it systematically analyzes what is fascism, what are its features, what conditions led to the rise of fascism, and so on. So, in this way, the political theory tries to systematically understand any political phenomena. The next famous statement on this topic is given by Andrew Hecker. According to Andrew Hecker, every political scientist plays double role. He is part political scientist and part political philosopher. Let us take the example of political theory of Marxism and see how Karl Marx acts as political scientist and political philosopher. Now, Karl Marx tries to scientifically analyze the phenomena of capitalism, and he says that capitalism is brutal, it is unjust, and it is an undesirable phenomena. In this capacity, Karl Marx acts as political scientist. Similarly, Karl Marx also acts as political philosopher. Karl Marx says that the stateless and classless society is the ideal stage. Now, when he talks about the ideal state, justice, and so on, Karl Marx plays the role of political philosopher. In this way, when Karl Marx partly acts as political scientist and partly acts as political philosopher, he is able to give a very enlightening political theory of Marxism. Another important statement on this topic is given by Oakeshott. According to Oakeshott, in politics, one sails in borderless and bottomless sea. This statement basically means is that the expanse of politics is extremely huge. We consider various ideas, institutions, political arrangements in politics and political theory. So the expanse of politics is extremely huge and comparable to a borderless and bottomless sea. We cannot say where the politics starts and where it ends, what is included in politics and what is excluded in the politics. And so the politics is comparable to a borderless and bottomless sea. Whenever there is a question on the empirical approach, do mention the scholar Charles Merriam. According to Charles Merriam, we need scientific vigor in study of political science, use findings of psychology, sociology, and economics in study of political science. Now, basically, Charles Merriam supports interdisciplinary approach to study political science. So, he is a proponent of the behavioral approach. Whenever there is a question on the post-behavioral approach, do mention this term, credo of relevance. It basically means that the political theory should not limit itself to mere facts and what is, but it should go beyond the facts. It should include the values within its scope. Like, for example, the political theory should not only limit itself to analyzing what are the reasons for the inequality in the society, how much is the level of inequality, and so on. It should go beyond that. Political theory should say that equality is a sovereign virtue. Political theory should say that there ought to be equality in society, there ought to be affirmative action, and so on. So the basic idea is that the political theory can be robust and relevant if it includes facts as well as values. Also, when there's a question on the behavioral approach, do mention these 8 tenets of behavioralism. I suppose these terms are pretty self-explanatory. The basic idea of these 8 tenets is that the political science should focus on studying the political theory scientifically. It should not consider values. It should be scientific in its approach. Political theory can be made pure science, and so on. And one important thing, whenever you write the answers on the topic of post-behavioral approach, do mention these scholars, Leo Strauss and Dan Germano. These are 2 famous scholars who have written and worked extensively on post-behavioral approach. The basic idea of post-behavioralism is that we need to consider facts as well as values in study of political theory. According to post-behavioralism, political theory should not be limited to mere political science. It should go beyond that. Like, for example, the political theory should not just say that what are the reasons for the injustice in the society. It should go beyond that. political theory should say that we need to have the value of justice in society. Now let's move on to the next topic, that is historical approach. According to John Seeley, history without political science has no fruits, and political science without history has no roots. According to Augustus Freeman, history is past political thought and politics is the present history. So this statement could be a very good opener for the historical approach to study political theory. So if you make use of such statements, then you'll fetch the extra brownie points while writing your answers. According to Lasky, every thinker is the child of his times. According to Sabine, we must simulate the situation to test the relevance of ideas. Political theory is the response to a particular situation. For example, we all know that Plato did not like democracy. And the reason for his dislike towards democracy is that it was in democracy that Socrates was hanged. And this made Plato to believe that democracy does not favor the intelligent people. Now, Karl Popper happens to be an ardent critique of the historical approach. Karl Popper has given the term historicism. According to Karl Popper, historical approach tells us what is inevitable and then advocates totalitarian means to achieve it. So Karl Popper's statement can be used while critically analyzing the historical approach or while giving the negative aspects of the historical approach. Another important scholar of the historical approach is Pollock. According to him, we need to study the linguistic context of the ideas. According to Pollock, the linguistic meaning of the terms keep on changing and evolving. Like for example, in the earlier times, equality was merely limited to legal and political equality. However, in the contemporary times, the scope and the ambit of the equality has expanded. And now we talk about socio-economic equality, sexual equality, and so on. Now let's move on to the next topic, that is legal approach. Some of the famous scholars related to the legal approach are Granville Austin, A.V. Dicey, Paul Appleby, Morris Jones, Ivor Jennings, and so on. According to Granville Austin, Indian federalism is a model of cooperative federalism. Like there is cooperation between the central government and the state government, and the Indian form of federalism is a cooperative model of federalism according to Granville Austin. Similarly, you can mention the name of Paul Appleby, who says that the Indian model of federalism is extremely federal. So these are a few scholars which you should mention while writing the answer on the legal approach to study political theory. Now let's move on to the next part, that is philosophical approach. Plato is called as the father of political philosophy. This is because Plato has analyzed a large array of values and ideas, be it equality, justice, philosopher king, ideal state, and so on. Plato has written and analyzed political philosophy to such a large extent that it is often said that all the Western philosophy is nothing but footnotes to Plato. While at the same time, Aristotle and the behavioral scholars happen to be an ardent critique of the philosophical approach. So with this we conclude the presentation. Thank you so much.